And that first time I won a fight, I was like, oh my God, like, nothing has ever compared to this. And I don't think anything ever will, ever. No drug, no anything will ever compare to it. Even now, still after fighting for 22 years, it's still the same feeling when I win a fight. The high is still, it's still like exactly the same. It's going to be a sad day when I have to retire, to be fair. I'm going to have to probably end up on crystal meth or something, trying to chase the high, I'm telling you.
Welcome to another episode of the Science of Building Champions podcast, where I chat to top-level fighters and coaches and dive into their stories to discover what makes them champions. And today I have the honor to speak with Liam Harrison, 8 times world champion, current UK #1 and has been for like 18 years or something, renowned Muay Thai coach in his own right and worldwide with his on the seminar circuit and online. And more recently, host of the Kickin It with Liam Harrison podcast as well. So great to have you join me today, Liam. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you for having me, mate.
I've been getting loads of messages with people really excited because you're coming on. So I can't wait to get chatting to you on this one. You've
disappointing,
I mean, you've achieved so much in the sport and for such a long time, you know, and it's a really hard-wearing sport as well. So what you've done is really incredible, and I think people can learn a hell of a lot from you. But let's do a huge rewind right back to where you started, what your story is, and how you actually got started in Muay Thai. I mean, were you like 13 years old or something?
Yeah, I was 13. I was playing a lot of football at the time. And my cousin Andy Howson, who's also a very well-renowned fighter now, 5-time world champion, he just started. So he said, oh, do you want to come down, try it out? I found it really helping me fitness, because he was just like a fitness thing for Andy at first. He said it might help with football, be a bit of self-defence. I'm from a bit of a rough council estate, so if you can't fight where I'm from, like, you just get eaten alive on streets and stuff. So I thought, oh yeah, probably it's a good idea. So I went down, and in one session, I just fell in love straight away. Like the first session I went down, like just kicking the pads and stuff like that. I thought, oh yeah, this is amazing. It wasn't until about 3-4 weeks in when I got to spar though for the first time. And I thought, holy shit, this is even better now, like getting to spar and stuff like that. And then I was just in love with it and obsessed with it from then.
And that was right from the word go at Bad Company with Richard Smith.
Yeah, I've been at Bad Company my whole career, fighting under Richard and training under Richard for 22 years now.
Yeah. And right from the early days, I mean, so that was a full-time gym. And that was some years ago now as well, wasn't it?
When I started, I think it was year 2. What year are we in now? 2020. I must have started in 1999 or 98 or something like that.
Right.
And even then, when I started, the gym was full of like, we had British champions, Commonwealth champions, top-level fighters. Still then, Richard himself was European champion. His wife was European champion, who then went on to be world champion, Lisa Houghton. So even then, obviously, I was around a lot of good-level fighters. And when I started going to the fighters class after like a month, me and Andy. Even though I'm only 13, 14, I was pretty big for my age, even though I'm a frigging midget now. I was pretty big when I was like this height when I was 13, 14.
Right.
Or maybe just a little bit more. So I was still pretty big for my age. So I couldn't spar with any kids or all. So I was always joining in with adults. And even like, I don't think some of them realised how young I actually was, because I got fucking pasting a few times on some of them. But yeah, I loved it, you know what I mean? So like when you're sparring with people who are a lot more experienced, a lot older, when I was getting in ring and fighting, like, well, it only ever happened a couple of times, because I ended up fighting men most of my junior career.
Mm.
When I first had my first few fights against other juniors, well, other 13, 14-year-olds, they were a breath of fresh air.
Easy.
I'm guessing they were all training with other kids and stuff like that, but I was just training with adults and with the fighters and with the British champions, the Commonwealth champions, the top-level guys. I was getting pasted every day in sparring, but I was loving it. So when I fought someone my own age, you were like, oh, this is easy.
This is downhill.
Yeah. It is.
and you were like 17, weren't you, when you actually picked up that UK #1 spot? Is that right?
Yeah, I was 17 against Yogendra Parekh at 59 kilo. Right. And then at 61 kilo, I beat Matthew Johnson when I was 18. So I took them both, 17 and 18.
Yeah. And you never dropped off the #1 spot there?
No, I lost to Charlie Peters, but that were up at 67 kilo, and he didn't even make weight or anything. I never made a big deal out of that fight, to be fair, because that for him, that was the pinnacle of his career, beating me. And he didn't even make weight or anything. It was like, and 67 kilos way too big for me, to be fair. So I didn't really care. So I thought, let him have his moment. I won't talk about him not making weight and kick off and make a big fuss out about it. That him for that moment meant everything for him. I've had about 20 moments like that in my career. It's been so long, and so I had so many big fights and so many big wins. I just thought, you know what, let him have it. I'm not going to moan about it because I don't like fighting at this weight anyway. I only walk around at 69.
Yeah.
So when I'm fighting at 67, those guys are coming down from 75. I only ever fight at that weight when someone throws a lot of money at me. Like my last fight, we're down at 63.5 kilos, which is what I'm comfortable at. It's at 4 kilos difference. It's a big jump. I've got a few losses on my record in my career, and most of them, well, a lot of them have come when I fought at 67 against people like Mohammed Kamal, Bobo Sacco, Peters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's when I've just jumped in, there's been a lot of money at stake. Although I probably should have won the Mohammed Kamal fight. I've had some good wins at that weight as well, don't get me wrong, because it's easy for me to make the weight. I'm usually pretty strong, but when you're fighting someone who's coming down from 75 kilos and I'm coming from 69 to 67, it's too big, you know what I mean? It's just a lot for me to do. That's why I enjoy fighting on one championship, 65 kilos division, but you have to be hydrated when you weigh in. They do a piss test.
Do they?
And if your piss is not clear, like, is it under 250 pH, whatever, I don't know what they measure it in, but they measure it with anything under 250 is a pass. Anything over 250, you fail.
Right.
So you know when you fight at 65 kilo on that, you know people are coming down from 75 kilo. You're fighting someone who's the same size as you, and that's why I like fighting in that weight division. I make it easy. Like my last fight in England without the weight cut, I did it 63.5. So if I ever fight outside of one championship now, I'll make sure it's 63.5 kilos because I'm comfortable that way. If I fight in one championship, 65 hydrated, I'll never jump up to 67 again. I just don't need to do that at this point in my career. I don't need the money, and I've fought all the best level guys. It's not like I need to jump up to up my reputation anymore or anything. I've done stuff like that in my whole career. I've even fought at 70 kilos. Fought Jabbar Askarov at 70 kilos and a few other parts. I fought Pech Morocco at 70 kilos on a week's notice. So I've done all the crazy shit like that. I don't think I need to do it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I think all fighters play around to find out what their truly competitive weight is. You kind of don't really know, do you, until you try it? I mean, you know when it's naturally too heavy, but... Yeah,
my lowest I fought at was 57, the highest is 70. So I've had a long jump in the...
Yeah.
Coming up from the place and going low and coming high.
Yeah. Settled at the happy medium, you know where that is. You've had so many fights to kind of figure that out.
Yeah, exactly.
And it does depend as well, like you said, about what the actual weigh-in procedure is for that particular championship or competition. So like with one championship, you kind of have to find another weight that you're kind of happy with under these constraints. This is where I'm most competitive. Yeah,
because like when I first found out about that, I said, you got to weigh in hydrated. I was like, oh my God, can I do that? Is that a thing? And then I thought, I did it easy. Like I fought at that weight twice now, and I've made weight easy both times, no problems. You have to weigh in 2 days in a row as well. So you don't just weigh in one day. You weigh in, if you're fighting on the Friday, which is what most one championship shows are, you weigh in on the Wednesday, hydrated, then you'll go away, you'll eat a little bit, but then you come back and you weigh in again on the Thursday, hydrated, and you have to make weight both times and pass the hydration both times. That's how you know you're going to be fighting someone who's the same size as you. There's no way for them to just go away and pile the weight back on.
That's it. You can't be too distorted then. Yeah. It sounds a really good setup.
Yeah, it is. You know, it's everyone's like at the weigh-ins. You see all the fighters and they're all healthy and bouncing around and got energy and stuff. You don't like see them coming in like or weight drain because you know they've been in sauna for fucking 3 hours trying to make the weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
And that transition then, because you're also, you know, these days everyone's known of you as not just a fighter but a coach as well. How did the coaching side of it come around for you?
I've always done like the odd PT in the gym, at Bad Company and stuff. Which I must have been about 20. I just beat Nampon PK Stereo for WMC World Title. He was a Rajdan number one. I knocked him out. And someone came up to me after the fight. I was only 21 or something. Said, do you do seminars? And I'd never done one. And it wasn't really like a thing at the time. There weren't many people doing it.
Right.
So I said, oh, yeah, I can do, yeah. Didn't really know what we're doing. It was a bit of trial and error at first. I just turned up, threw people on the floor and went, yeah, all right. And now, obviously, the word got out, and the more social media came out, then it started to get a little bit more like easy to just pick them up and stuff. But it started when I was like 21, and then I left. I had like a little part-time crappy driving job, like at 3 a.m. till 7 a.m. every morning. I was still fighting, so I'd go to bed early, drive 3 till 7, and then come back home, sleep for 2 more hours, up at the gym, sleep through the afternoon, back to the gym at night. So that were heavy. I just wanted to get rid of that. And then I started doing more PTs. The fighting money started getting better. My reputation started getting known. And then the seminars started coming thick and fast after that. Once social media came around, like Facebook, Instagram, and then once the word got out, people said, "Oh, that looks good."
Yeah.
And now I think I like to think that I've like paved the way for a lot of the other fighters in this country, because there's more fighters than me just doing it now. At one point, it was just me doing them all, just everywhere. Now there's other top level fighters like McGowan, Haggerty, Damien Trainer does a lot as well. I like to think I've paved the way for a lot of them, because there weren't many people doing it at the time, but now I think social media and stuff, and it's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've managed to kind of transition as well from those in-person seminars to now doing like your online program as well, haven't you? And all the features you've got there, which especially these days with the pandemic, that's something else that you're kind of paving the way with that too.
Yeah. Well, I started that because I was getting so many messages saying, "I want to come to your seminars. How do I learn from you? What can I do? I'll fly out to England just to do like a one-to-one with you and stuff like this," not from people around Europe and Australia and America.
Right. Yeah.
And then I did a seminar about 2.5 years ago. I did a seminar in England, down London. And the guy came up to me afterwards. He went, "Mate, that were amazing, but there were too many techniques. I forgot most of them. Can I go to your website and catch up?" I said, "Oh, I don't have a website." He said, "What? You don't have a website?" I said, "No, mate." I said, "I've never even thought about it." He said, "Well, lucky for you, it's your lucky day." He said, "I'm a photographer, a videographer, and a web designer." He said, "There's my card. If you ever think about it, hit me up." So I just sat there, and I've done a few more seminars over the next couple of weeks, and someone else asked me, "Have you got a website?" And I thought, you know what? I need to get on to this guy. So I messaged him, and then he came up to have dinner with me in Leeds. And a week later, we went into production, and then I think we've had nearly 11,000 members now worldwide.
That's brilliant. But
yeah.
having that kind of resource for people, like you say, because you kind of, I've found exactly the same thing. Nowhere near on the same level or scale here, but if you're imparting kind of lots of information, you can kind of deliver so much in person. But there's always that if they're doing it, they can't sit and write it down. There are people sometimes videoing it, but that having something that's structured to kind of deliver that again, that's rehearsal for them. Or even like I guess you're doing now, it's structured so that it actually delivers it outright. It's not even a reminder now. It shows them how to do it right from scratch. That's something that's really valuable.
Yeah, and I see a lot of instructors using it as well, and gym owners and stuff like that. If they can't think of a lesson plan, they can just go on there, have a little quick look at a few things and think, right, a few techniques there, I can base a full lesson around that. Yeah. I get so many messages off instructors and coaches saying, "You know what, it's such an amazing tool. Like if I'm having a blank day in my head and I can't think of a lesson, I just go onto your website, have a look at a few techniques, and then I'll base a full lesson around, like say leg kicks or sweeps." Or there's so many sections on there. I think I've got nearly 600 videos on there now at the minute. And like other guest instructors like Andy and McGowan and Jordan Watson and Richard Smith. And so there's a lot of information on there really.
Well, in bad company there, you've got a lot of people to kind of pick from as well. And it's really great that you're featuring those guys. And of course, Richard's letting you use the gym to kind of to set it all up in. That's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's been really good for me, like having all them around me as well, because obviously I'm not so arrogant where I think I'm amazing at every technique. I know there's certain stuff that I'm not very good at, but stuff that I'm not that good at, Jordan is. Yeah. Stuff that Jordan isn't that good at, Andy is. Stuff that Andy isn't that good at, McGowan is. Do you know what I mean? So they've all helped me out. There's a little section here and there. And it's been really successful.
It helps everyone else kind of try stuff on as well, doesn't it? They've all got their styles, and they might suit one of those other guys as well, and the way they approach things. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I've seen there's quite a few other fighters who are starting similar stuff to it now and getting their own websites and stuff. So I like to think I've paved the way for that sort of thing as well. Yeah.
That exactly. It's the whole online side is, well, especially right now, it's where everyone's trying to move, and I think it's valuable if it's done well.
Yeah,
So good
I've been
stuff.
lucky. The guy who's done my website he's really, really good. So like, I'm really happy with how the website is. All the filming is like pristine, top quality. Like it's not like just half-assed on a shitty phone camera or something like that. It's all done really, really well and stuff. So I'm really happy with how it's all set out and stuff. And like, we just put a brand new website up now as well. So it's all like, you can click your favorite videos, you can click the videos you've worked through, you can click which videos you want next. You can like put in like a lesson plan, basically know what you've gone through and stuff like that. So I'm really happy with how it's all turned out.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. It's important how it's laid out as well. Having lots of information is one thing, but being able to bloody navigate through it and
there's so much stuff on there, like nearly 600 videos now. It's all just all over the place, you can just get bored of like scrolling through it all. You need something that's just like bang, 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 bang. Especially if you're doing it like in the middle of a class and you're like, just training with a friend and you've got the phone at the side. You think, right, we'll work this. And then if it's something that comes after that, and then you've got to scroll out and go everywhere around side to find it, they're going to lose interest. Yeah. It just needs to be like, bap, easy to use, straight to the point, and I think it is.
It takes a bit of trial and error to get there, doesn't it? But you settle on something that works. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's still a relatively new site. It's only 2 years old. But to say how well it's done in 2 years, nearly 11,000 signups, is crazy, really.
That's impressive.
And it's still growing all the time, and I'm still adding new stuff to it. And I think whenever I learn something new, I think, right, put that straight on the website, because in this sport, I'm learning stuff every day still, even though I've been training for 22 years.
Yeah. So
as soon as I learn something, everyone who's a member will learn that as well, because as soon as I think about it, I think, wow, that's new. I'll jot it down. I'll teach that on my site. And then there's obviously all the stuff that I've used in my career where I can put fight footage back to it. But as I'm still evolving as a coach, as a fighter, I'm still learning as well. So anything that I do learn, I'll jot it down and I'll go straight in there as well.
Yeah. Let's dig into your why then. You know, what is it that you love and appreciate about Muay Thai that you, right from the start, what sort of drew you into it?
Everything. Like I said, the first time when I was sparring, I thought, wow, it's amazing. Like the first time I had a fight, the rush that I got from it, I'm a bit of like a high junkie. I always want to find the high. You know what I mean? I chase that high no matter what I'm doing. When I played football before this, I was always like the best in the team, and if another good player came in, I was always so competitive where I still wanted to up my game more. So I'd be better than him. I was always like the top scorer in the leagues as well.
Right.
So I'd always look at the paper, like, because all juniors were in it, and I always would look who the top scorer. And if it was some kid from another team, I'd get mad and I'd want to know better him. I'm very competitive, and like I say, I'm always chasing the high. I'm a high junkie. And that first time I won a fight, I was like, oh my God, like, nothing has ever compared to this. And I don't think anything ever will. Ever. No drug, no anything will ever compare to it. Even now, still after fighting for 22 years, it's still the same feeling when I win a fight. The high is still like exactly the same. It's going to be a sad day when I have to retire, to be fair. I'm going to have to probably end up on crystal meth or something, trying to chase a high, I'm telling you. But yeah, it's that. It's just that chasing that high and always bettering myself. And I just love literally everything about the sport, everything. I love the fighting, I love the coaching, I love the training, I just love pushing myself. I love working with all the other amazing fighters in our gym and sparring with them, and I love like coaching and watching other people do something in a fight that you've shown them and go, oh, it worked, and that's just makes me that's like a high as well, do you know what I mean? Like if you show someone, or you train with someone for a fight and work some tactics, and you show them something and then they go do it in their fight and it works for them, and you see how buzzing they are, and then that's another high. So like, that's the good thing about it. Like when I do retire and I can't get the high no more myself, that the coaching does it for me as well. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's a good thing really, because I probably won't end up on smack, like, you know. So at least I'll have somewhere to focus all my energy to.
It's a big gap to fill, isn't it? It really is. And is that what you kind of appreciate now about the sport that you perhaps didn't at the beginning? This whole being able to sort of coach others. What is different about what you appreciate about Muay Thai now from right at the beginning?
You know what? Like a fighter's got a shelf life, and I didn't really seem to realise this until 35 now, and think, shit, I haven't got long left here. Even though I feel fitter, stronger, faster, sharper than I ever did in any of my 20s, and I'm still at the highest level there is. Which is unheard of, really. But the first time I fought an elite level Thai, I was 18. I've been fighting Thai since I was 17, and the first time I fought at elite level when I was 18, and that was 17 years ago, and I'm still doing it now. But yeah, I used to think, oh, it's all right, and I didn't realise that one day this is going to stop, and I do now, which is why I do a lot of coaching and stuff like that. But I want to. It's why I'm pissed off about all this COVID shit, and we can't have a fight around in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm in the peak now in my career, and I know I ain't got long left. I feel like it's being pulled away from me, and people are stealing precious time off me. And I know I'm not in the worst situation that some people are, but yeah, that's what's been doing me in about this. Anyway, that were totally not anything, but yeah, I like going back to what I appreciate more now. Everything, just everything. Like obviously the coaching side, the S&C side, looking after my body more side. Like all the recovery. I do hot yoga and stuff like that now. All that sort of stuff now to look after myself a little bit better, just so I can try and push out just an extra couple of years. See Sanchai fight now. He's like 41. And he's still going strong. John Wayne Parr's 44. He's still going. Sing Dam and other fighters are like 36, 37. They're still strong. So it's that, like with stuff like that now, like looking after your body and all the different stuff I do to recover now, and that's going to push me. I think I'll get to like 38, 39 before I retire.
Yeah. You'll know when you're kind of at the point where the body's not repairing or injuries are just not diminishing enough in between.
I sat here with ice on my knee, mate. I sat here with ice on my knee.
Hold on, have you got trousers on?
It was removed about. I had an operation about 20 months ago. My meniscus tore.
Yes,
and it tore so bad it got stuck in my knee joint. I had a fight. I was in Thailand training for a fight, and I tore it, and my leg locked and then popped back to normal.
Yeah.
I thought, oh my God, something was wrong there. I was fighting in 5 days, so I flew back to England, then flew from England to Italy for my fight, and I was praying to God. I was thinking, the guy was fighting, he made a comment in an interview about my low kicks, and he said he's got a trick up his sleeve. It was my left leg that meniscus went in, and I was praying. I was just thinking, please fight me southpaw, so I don't have to left kick him.
Yeah.
Please fight me southpaw. And he came out and he tried to fight me southpaw, and I thought, yes. So all I did was just kick me right. I threw one left kick because I just forgot.
Yeah.
My leg, I could feel it about to lock, and thought, oh my God, do not lock, because if I fall over, I'm going to lose the fight here.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't. I won the fight pretty easily on points. Went back to England, and then I went in the gym about 3 days later, and I said to Andy, let me try a left kick, see what happens. Threw a left kick, it tore totally, it got stuck in my knee joint, my leg locked. It was horrendous pain. I don't know how when people do their ACL and stuff like that, how they can like walk around or afterwards, because I was in such bad pain. I knew straight away what had happened because I'd already been to see a physio, and he said, I think your meniscus was gone. I went to the hospital, and they just said, yeah, I think your meniscus is gone, but we're going to have to send you for an MRI. I went, go on then. I went, oh no, you have to go home. We'll send you. I said, my leg's locked. I said, can we not just get me straight in? So I went home, and I was sat around for like 3 or 4 days, no letter or anything. And I went private. So I messaged my sport doctor, who sorts out all lumps on my hand and injects my hands for me and stuff.
Yeah.
I messaged him, came up, he had a look. He said, right, we can't leave you with your leg locked like this. He said, this is like, you should have been seen straight away and sorted. So we're on crutches. Within a day, he'd sent me to an MRI. Within 2 days, he looked at it all and said, yeah, it's stuck. It's ripped off, it's stuck. Within a week, I was in surgery. So I was lucky, really. By the time I'd had surgery, and 2 weeks into my recovery after surgery, I finally got a letter from NHS saying, oh, we can come for your MRI now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what that is. My knee just sometimes like balloons up. And just, from just over, I'm guessing it's overtraining, I'm guessing. Just sometimes just loads of fluid comes around it. I'm guessing it's to protect. Well,
yeah.
You'll know.
Yeah. You end up with angry areas that just get inflamed because they've been through it.
Sometimes it goes so swollen that I just can't walk properly. So I was training earlier, and now it's just really swollen. So
time to get some ice on it, get it down a bit.
Yeah, it's what it is, mate. I'm used to it.
So why do you fight? Despite all these years and the struggles, why do you continue to fight right now?
I love it. It's still in me. It's still the first thing I think about when I wake up, and the last thing I think about before I go to bed. I still, when I'm out on my runs, in fact, when I'm out running, if I'm not visualising about a fight, I think that's time to retire. Because when I'm running, I'm trying to think how the fight will play out, or who I want to fight, or I'm always got it in my head. I don't have to run with music. A lot of people need music when they run. I don't. To just visualise fighting and that. just pushes me on to run harder.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't ever see that going away. I am a fighter, and it's what I do. I like entertaining crowds. I'm a bit of a show off as well, which is why a reason I don't want to fight at the minute behind closed doors with no crowds there, because I've only ever done that once before.
Right.
And I fought terrible. I didn't fight very well. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really want to do that at the minute. I will do if I have to, because I'm desperate to fight at the minute. But so we'll see what happens early next year, because that's when I want to fight. Hopefully there's some crowds allowed back by then, but probably not. But so we'll see. So I will do it if I have to. But like I said, I'm a bit of a show off. I like having a crowd there. The crowd spurs me on.
Yeah.
Especially the way I fight. I fight hard. I fight aggressive. And when the crowd are enjoying it, that makes me fight harder. It makes me fight better, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
you feed off that energy. It's like the crowd watching the fireworks. The ooh and the ahs go off when you're banging.
Yeah. And like I said, the high, the buzz, the winning.
Yeah.
Like you said, I'll know when it's time to stop, because if I know I'm in a position where I no chance of me getting that high anymore, if I can't do it, then what will be point? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess when you reach that point where you're thinking, I'm not getting that win now, that's like
that's what I'm there for, that buzz, you know what I mean? So
I mean, you talked about sort of being a bit of a show off, and you feel like that actually helps with your fight performance. But what do you think makes a champion? What do you think are the most important traits?
Discipline, heart. You obviously need some form of talent, but like those are the two things that can't be taught. You can't teach someone heart, and you can't teach someone discipline. Everything else can be taught.
Yeah.
I was shit my first 10 fights probably. My technique was shit, but I was fit, I was strong, and I'm trained hard. And I went my first 29 pro fights unbeaten. I didn't lose. That was because I always trained hard. I was always the first one through the doors and the last one to leave. So that's why I was always so successful. Obviously, when you get to that elite level after I did my 29 fights and I started fighting stadium champion ties, you need a little bit more than just being tough and having heart and training harder than everyone else, because you do need to get that little bit of extra something then. But yeah, I think discipline, heart, determination, those are the qualities a champion needs, because those are the qualities that you can't teach.
Yeah, 100%. I really agree with that. It's that you can work through a lot of stuff, can't you? If you persevere long enough to find out that trial and error, you end up in the right place. Whereas those that kind of give up a bit prematurely aren't just experimenting enough. They kind of give up at the first failure rather than I'll get up again and try again.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you think that's what the difference is between like you and perhaps other people that have had the same opportunities you have, but haven't gone as far as you have?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of fighters come and go over the years while I've been fighting, and people saying, "Oh, he's the next big thing. He's the next big thing," and I can look at them once and say, "No, Ian," because I know I've seen it. I've done it myself, and I've seen other people do it, and just think, oh, you know, and I've seen them drop off, and I've seen them get that close and then drop off, and you never heard of them again. Seen it happen. As again, I suppose it comes down to how bad do you really want it, I suppose, and if you only want it a little bit, then you're not gonna. That's not enough to take you to that highest top level.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of the times when I'm speaking to people, we've been talking about sort of habits, really. And if you've got the habit where you just dig in all the time. It's like you're always pushing back against whatever's trying to hold you back, and that's your default. And it's kind of like that's the way you. Do you feel like that is the way you approach pretty much everything that comes at you, whether it's outside of Muay Thai as well?
Yeah. You can't be afraid to like fail in anything in life, really. You just got to keep pushing and keep going. You could say I've failed my way to success, really, because I've lost a lot of big fights, but I've won a lot more big fights than I've lost. But obviously, I've lost a lot of important fights, but that's what's made me come back and train harder and train different and try and improve my game and stuff like that. So, like, when I won the WMC title when I was 21 against a Rajana ranked #1 fighter, which at the time, no one in England was beating elite level ties like that. The first fight against him, I lost.
Right.
I was sure I won. The whole crowd was sure I won. All the ties were sure I won, but I lost. And I suppose I could have thrown my toys out at Pram and sulked about that. I said, right, get me a rematch. I said, if you good judges are going to do that, I said, I'll knock him out next time. And I fought twice before it, and then I had a rematch with him and I knocked him out.
Yeah.
But that's just the mindset. I felt right, I'll knock him out next time then. And I did, luckily.
I had a question posted in my community forum. There's a guy asking about doing press ups and whether that would kind of interfere with the strength and conditioning that I had him doing. You know, doing the many press ups that you end up doing in a typical Muay Thai session, and all the sit ups and all the rest of it. And he was then talking about how some of the other fighters, or a lot of the other fighters, do those little partial ones where they're just kind of bouncing. And what were the merits of doing that versus everything else? And my kind of opinion on that was that the full range is better rather than just doing the little springy ones.
Little ones shit. Little shit, them little ones.
Well, I can see how you work
the Thai style one. The Thais get down to the
yeah. And I was trying to.
Well, you know what I like? Because Thais don't like doing S&C and stuff like that. They all like to kick the pads and do it, keep it basic, like to do. You tell them to do press ups and S&C. I know it's getting there now a little bit. There's a lot more S&C going on in Thailand. But like, if you'd have told a Thai to do S&C 15, 20 years ago, they'd gone, no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It. Yeah. It's extra work and it's making them tired, so they don't like it. Yeah. But my point with that one was that, you know, you can either do a little partial one that I can see there's a little bit of benefit to doing some like plyometric little springy bits in there. I'm kind of thinking of the sort of sports science behind it. But to be honest, there's much better ways of doing that. Doing full range is the real benefit. The reason why people do those is because they're probably given 50, 60, 100 push-ups to do. And they're like, well, if I do full range, I can't do that many. So they're kind of like doing those little ones. But so my advice to him was like, for me personally, my kind of core values are that, or my self-identity is I'm not someone who half-asses things and quits. So I will do a full push-up and I will just do as many of those a proper form as I can do rather than half-assing a load of them. Because then you don't quite know then if you do more than another time, have I got better or did I do less or more half-assed ones? It's kind of like, if you've got the attitude as you do it right and you do it as much as you can do, that becomes like your habit in every bit of training.
Of course, it's not just that. It's about every way of life. That should be stuff like that. Do it properly. If you're cooking yourself a nice Sunday dinner, you won't think, oh, mashed potatoes take ages. So I'll just do them shit, but I'll do everything nice. Do you know what I mean? You do it all correctly, so it's all a big nice dinner. When you do have one half of it, you think, oh, it takes a bit long, so I'm not doing it. That's how it should be with everything in life. Do it properly or don't do it. Yeah.
And it becomes a habit, doesn't it? If you're kind of like the half-assed person, when it push comes to shove, that's kind of like, that's a path you kind of default down. When that's not your mindset, when you're like, no, go in, do it properly. That's a big difference, isn't it? As a habit. And you've obviously got that habit of just straight on every time.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I try and do it with everything in life. Like I've got my website, just brought out a clothing brand and stuff like that. I'm trying to make sure everything's done like perfect. I got asked the other day about the clothing brand. Someone said, oh, we can have this on ASOS for you now if you want.
Right.
I thought, wow, that's massive. And I said, no, I'm not ready. I said, I want it perfect when it goes on there. I said, come back to me in January. But I said, I don't want it to go on half-assed. I said, I want everything to be perfect before it does. So
yeah. You've got to practice your blue steel a bit more, haven't you, for some of those photographs?
Yeah, man. I said to the guy who I'd running with my best friend, Clint, I said to him, I said, why are you making me get... I said, we've hired 5 models here. Why are you... He said, because you've got a face of it, you need to do this. I said, don't you fucking dare post these anywhere. And next day, I was all over Instagram. I was like, oh, follow. I said, just go with it. He said, you post it. I said, I'm not posting that. I said, look at me. But now I post it. So I had to post it.
Oh dear, that's what happens when you're behind a brand like that, mate, isn't it?
Yeah.
But let's talk about some challenges then that you've had. I mean, big long career, lots of stuff that's happened by the sounds of it. What are the greatest challenges that you feel that you've had, or obstacles as such, and what do you think you've learned from them?
Yeah, I've had a few decent bad losses, but I've had to bounce back from. Like the first time when Anawat beat me, and he stopped me and he just blasted me to pieces. I said, "Nah, I'm not having that." But that was a tough one. It was the first time I'd ever been stopped in a fight. So I demanded, like I said, I demanded a rematch there as well because I knew I could beat him, and I knew just something were off that night. And we did have the rematch, and I put it all right. And I asked for the rematch to be in England in front of all my friends and all my family and everyone in the UK, because I know I'm getting wrote off. And said, "Oh well, look what happened first time. We won't beat him this time." And I did. I beat him comfortably on points. It was probably one of my best wins. Same with Andre Colbin fight, which was one of my best wins. Probably one of the best wins a British fighters had, really, that fight, and the Anawat fight. That fight with Colbin, everyone wrote me off because, again, I was fighting at 61 to 63 kilos, and that fight was 66.6 against Colbin. And he'd beat the number 1 and number 2 in England at 66.6. And I said, I'll fight him. I said, I'll beat him. I said, no, I'll stop him. And everyone were laughing, and they all wrote me off. And I said, I'll stop him. I said, I looked at his style. I said, my style will work perfect against his. And I did. I stopped him in round 3 after everyone had just wrote me off. That was good.
Yeah.
Obviously, I spring back from injuries, tough. I've had a few injuries. You helped me with a shoulder injury before.
Yeah.
The AC joint, that were, I think. You helped me with that.
That's right, yes. Yeah.
Went to my gym, you helped me. That was, I was out for about 3 months with that. My knee operation, I broke my hands before and stuff, like bouncing back from injuries. Always tough. It's just keeping strong mindset and just thinking, I ain't going to last forever. Do what you need to do to look after yourself. Heal up properly, come back stronger. And yeah, you can sit around moaning about it or you can work around it. I remember when I fought Tetsuya Yamamoto for the Yokai World title. He was a really strong, tough Japanese fighter. I broke my hand. This fight were in March. I broke my hand in December. And then 2 weeks later, I had an operation. I put a metal plate in it. And my hand was in a claw, not to hold it in place.
Yeah.
And they said to me, right, 3 months and then you can start training again. I said, I don't think so. I said, I'm fighting in 3 months. Oh, no, fighting in 2.5 months.
Yeah.
So I did 10 weeks of training camp with my hand in a claw cast. The last 2 weeks, I took it off and did 2 weeks normally. And then I thought, it's all mindset. Like, this is like the strongest weapon you've got. As long as you believe up here, it will happen.
Yeah. I think you learn to trust yourself as well, don't you? If you kind of push and you find that despite what everyone else might be thinking or saying, that you've actually succeeded again, that kind of builds like a mental momentum, doesn't it? That you're able to do this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And like I say, I believe in myself as well, 100%. So, yeah.
Yeah. So you honestly kind of feel that you're going to be fighting literally until you've kind of obliterated yourself. And you're not winning anymore.
A pile of fucking dust on floor, mate. There'll be no left of me. I'll just be a pair of eyeballs and that's it. I'll just be all dust but I will keep going until I literally can't do it anymore. Like, I like people enjoying my fights.
Yeah.
When people start saying, oh, Liam Harrison's lost it a bit, then that'll be enough for me. I don't want people to think I'm past it. I want them to enjoy my fights. I want to fight hard and I want to have wars and I want people to go, wow, Liam Harrison, even if I'm not the main event on the show in like one of the One Championship shows, I want to be the person. Everyone walks out of the building and goes, fucking hell, Liam Harrison's fight were amazing. Do you know what I mean? And then when that stops, then it's time to, I know it'll be time to call it a day.
I mean, your style, mate, it's win or lose. Just lovely to watch you. You're in there to fight.
I'm looking to get this far the way I fight, to be honest.
Yeah.
I try every now and then to have like a fight where I'm just a little bit technical and save myself, but the majority of them, it's just like fucking...
You've got Sanchai kind of making everything miss, and he's lasting well, and then you're lasting, and you're just like the war machine.
Yeah. Go on, hit me, I'll hit you back harder. That's all. Yeah,
yeah. That's how we win. I hit you more often and harder than you hit me. Yeah.
That's the one.
How has your fight preparation changed from the beginning to now?
Obviously, when I was younger, it was just like S&C and recovery and stuff. It wasn't about really. I've brought more S&C in now. Obviously, at age with injuries, it helps with strength, it helps with being more explosive and stuff like that. But that's only over the last 10 years, maybe, that I brought that in since I've been like 25 or something. Up until then, it was just like keep the pads, go running, spar, do some press-ups, do some sit-ups, do some pull-ups, like proper Thai style. I didn't really know too much about all like the different types of movements and getting out a bit more explosive and stuff like that. But as you get older, you train smarter, you get wiser, and you become more experienced and you gain more knowledge. So obviously, as I've got older, and I wish like when I was 18, or what all these kids have got now were available to me. Because I think, what would I have been like? Because I was already like at the top level. But obviously that's just how it is, isn't it? No point saying what if and shoulda, woulda, coulda, and all this. Obviously, that wasn't about then, and that's that. And I just did the best with what I had. It's only the same as what all Thais do. They kick the pads, they do the running, they do the clinching, they do the sparring and stuff like that.
And it's interesting to see how the older Thais are changing what they're doing. So, I mean, how much you can believe from what's being posted on social media, but you've got Borkow and Yodson Klai all doing more strength and conditioning now that they're older to try and keep in the game as well. So even the Thais are kind of figuring out we can't just do what we were doing when we were younger, almost like it worked, but it's kind of at the expense of my body a bit. And I've got to be more efficient with what I'm doing now. And can't get away with just training like that anymore.
Yeah, especially when you're having 300 fights like those guys have had, how many training camps they've had to go through and stuff. You're going to have to do that. I think Bukow's nearly 40 now. He's about 38, 39, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, 39, 4 years older than me. He's 39. So, yeah, if he's still in good shape as well. You can tell he's doing his S&C and a little bit more extra work and stuff like that. So, yeah, and you need to do it when you're a bit older. You need to do that little bit extra and be a bit smarter about how you're training.
So that's as you're getting older, but also that, that's something you've learned. If you were to kind of go back in time, you say you would kind of introduce that sort of attitude and training method right back at day one. If that was available to you back then, that would be something you'd change.
100%. Yeah. If it were available, I'd be doing it definitely.
Yeah. It's funny how things evolve, isn't it? Everything's kind of, it's tradition's great. But there's this evolution that you should be paying attention to, and just seeing what other things you can borrow in from other disciplines as well that work. And I think that's a bit of a problem really with Thailand being so traditional, and the way the culture is to respect the elders. You don't question anything like that. Everyone just hands down how they were trained and coached. So it's slow to take hold over there, which of course is where all the eyes are, which means kind of everybody else is a little slower to take it on. Although I must say some like the One Championship and the fighters there are starting to kind of, well, again, it's showcased on social media a bit more, but you start seeing some other sort of training influences, don't you?
Yeah, you see like Nong O's a champion at my weight now. You can see he's doing S&C all the time and stuff like that. He's really smashing that. But again, these are older guys who are doing it because like they need to keep themselves in that tip-top shape. There's a lot of them doing it. Like a lot of fighters in One Championship are a little bit older because they've got all the legends in there. Like obviously Nongo, he's a little bit older. Obviously I'm a little bit older. It's all guys who need to do that little bit extra.
Mm. And is that kind of in your sights now? All these fighters that are still competing, and the just keeping an eye on the relative ages that they're managing to do it to. Is that your competitive side again coming out like, oh, I'm at least doing that. I'm going to beat that.
Yeah. Well, like Nongos, he's 36, 37, Samir, 38, and they're both One Championship champions at their respective weight. So if they can do it, I don't see why I can't.
And I saw somewhere recently as well that One Championship title is one you're really keen to get, isn't it? Yeah,
it's just I've won everything else. Other than a stadium title in Thailand, I've literally won every decent title there is. So yeah, I'd like a shot at that. I think it suits my style in them small gloves.
Definitely.
I'd like a shot at that before I retire. But yeah, see how it goes. I think I need one more big win and then I might be able to get a good shot at it.
And also, I guess if you feel like the weight classes and the way that's all addressed, it also suits you very well. It's kind of a good kind of healthy promotion to be following, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. It's good money, it's good exposure. It's like I said, the weight and the style and the rules and how it's scored all fits my style perfectly, I think.
Yeah. Okay, mate, that's brilliant. But just finally, what I just want to just hear from you. So, if you were to give one piece of advice to anyone who wants to be as great as they can be, what would that be?
Believe in yourself. Be disciplined. And yeah, I think believing in yourself is the main one. You have to be obsessed. I say this all the time about being obsessed. You have to be obsessed with what you're going to do. If you want to reach the pinnacle, you want to be the best, be obsessed with what you're doing. Give it priority over everything. And I know that might sound a bit much, but that's what I did, and it's what I still do. My training comes and my Muay Thai comes before more stuff in my life, really, because that's what I'm obsessed with. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, that. Be obsessed, believe in yourself. Those are the two main things.
Do you know, it's an interesting kind of balance as well, in that kind of as a fighter, you have to be kind of a bit more tunnel vision and looking after yourself. Although you know, it's a solo sport. There is a support team and all the rest of it. You really need to make sure when there's a fight coming up that you are being selfish, really. You have to be selfish, don't you, to make sure you're ready. Otherwise, people will still steal your time that you need to be prepping.
Of course, it's a selfish game when you're going to be a fighter. It's not them who are in there getting punched in the face, it's you. So you have to make sure that you're going to be ready for it.
Yeah. And then kind of the flip side to that is then the coach, isn't it? When all you're worried about is everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Remember one of the reasons why people say, "I don't want your own gym." I said that's one of the reasons why I don't want that pressure of having all my own fighters, because I've run in my career, people might think, "Oh, Liam Harrison's fighters, I can't be dealing with that pressure. I don't want that. I just want to stay in bad company and help our fighters grow." You know what I mean? I prefer to do that.
Brilliant stable there, mate. I mean, there's loads going on, and I'm sure way beyond you kind of finishing what you're doing competitively. You know, your input there is going to be huge and inspiring everybody. Thank you ever so much for sharing what you shared with us today, mate. Really appreciate it.
Not a problem, mate. I've enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Cheers, Liam. You can find out more about Liam and his work from his website, liamharrisontraining.com. And you'll find him on Instagram at liambadco. And of course, there's his clothing brand, 11th Commandment, as well. And you'll find links to all of these with this episode. And if you found this valuable, please like, subscribe, and share with someone else that it could help too. And I'll catch you next time.